Hello, everyone, and welcome to Decoding Cannabis. For those of you who are following the podcast, know that I'm working with a woman named Dawn on the process of releasing herself from cannabis dependency. I run a program called Consciously High, in which I teach the moderation in use of the plant. And the idea is not to lose the ability to use it on a regular basis or when we need to, but to be able to moderate the use so that we do no longer have dependency and we reclaim the command over the substance. And in the episode before last, Don and I have launched the process together, or more accurately, she spoke to me a few hours before her ritual, and she read a very moving thank you letter that she wrote to Cannabis, to Mary Jane. And today, I'm going to talk to Dawn again about a week after she started her process. So let's begin.
Oh, look at me. I'm the crooked branch hanging off of my family tree. When I'm gone, will I be who I was before, or will I be another me?
Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's been a week. You haven't smoked. Remind the listeners, how long has it been since the last time you didn't smoke? Because I remember you said that last year, was it? You took another break.
Yeah, it was the beginning of last year. Again, another New Year's resolution kind of thing. I forget when I started. I think it was in February of last year, and it was about 6 weeks or so of a break. And then COVID hit, and I went through that first week of COVID. Was a very stressful time for everyone I know, but in my life there was something that was going on at that point due to COVID, and I got to that point where I told my husband, I remember looking at him and saying, I need to smoke. I'm like, I can't get through this without smoking. And then he helped me out with that, got some stuff. And that was it. From that going forward for 2020, it was kind of hard to quit, because it just, it helped, I guess, to get through all those stressful months.
Yeah.
But, knowing that wasn't my plan. My plan last year was I was going to take a long break and try to get some things done and accomplished. But, we know how the story goes for 2020.
Yeah. You told me back in the time, if I remember correctly, you said you wanted to write a book. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, I had signed up for a course, and it was how to write or how to launch your dream book, and I was working on that course, and things just got for me, it got really hectic with my job. For one, there was just a lot going on. I was trying to follow this course and go through the steps of writing the book, and I got the outline, and I started working on a draft, but then I had to just take a break from it because it was just too much on my plate at the time. And I was still feeling like, like, can I even write this? Do I even know what I'm trying to say? So I had all of these feelings surface that I wasn't sure if I could do it or had enough information to provide. And so I kind of took a break on that, but I still have ideas that come to me that I just, it's a goal for one day, not hopefully not too far out in the future, but I had the starting point, and I'd like to pick up where I left off at some point.
Is it fiction or is it?
No, it's more like a self-help or personal growth type book. Maybe using some of my experience and what I've learned along the way to try to help other people.
The process of writing a book, I feel, is like stepping on a road, a bridge, like a bridge connecting between two sides, like
Mhm.
above some kind of a canyon, and you don't see the floor. You just have to trust that it's there. And so you take
Okay.
another step and another step, and you always just have to trust that it's there. The road is there,
Mhm.
and there's just really no other choice. And what I can't, I don't know how, what you're writing. I do know that you write well because I heard some of your writing in term form of the letter, and I
Mhm.
see it in the emails that you write. You're very structured, and you have good form, and you keep me interested. And so I know that that's not an issue, but I can tell you beyond any doubt that the world needs to hear what you have to say and to tell. The act of sharing via writing, we can't compare it to anything else. And I encourage you
Yeah.
to put it back on the main burner at some point when it
Yeah.
feels right.
I
Yeah.
think this process actually will help me because part of it, I got another reason I got stuck is because I felt like I was just trying to write what I thought people would want to hear and not really what was coming from my heart because I was still kind of closed off, afraid to really share, feeling like if I put it in the book and this is my experience, then people will know, And so I had that shame thing still holding me back. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm working through in this whole process with this program and doing these podcasts. And it's helping. It really is helping me to be more comfortable with accepting who I am, that cannabis has been a part of who I am for a good portion of my life. But again, going back to wanting to be in control of it and not the opposite. So that I think is the part that I guess I'd be ashamed of, meaning like I've lost control over it. And so once I can regain that control, I think I'll feel more confident to share my story more publicly.
Yeah, yeah. I know that feeling. I know that feeling. There was a time where I wanted to teach people how to regain command over cannabis. And I was asking myself, who are you to do that? I mean, you've done some, but you haven't really mastered it. And,
Yeah.
really only towards late 2020, beginning of 2021, now that it came, I feel really comfortable with it because I know that I've won that war. I've won that war for sure. It wasn't just
Mhm.
like I just won it, but I won it. I will
Right.
never ever go back to that place of dependency. And I make the resolutions whenever I need to,
Mhm.
and I stick to them because my word is strong. And just as an example, yesterday actually, I made a resolution for 5.5 months not to smoke until June 21st of
Okay.
2021 because there's a book I want to finish, and I know that I need a chunk of time. And there's
Yeah.
something about waking up in the morning the day after I smoked a big fat joint yesterday to kind of commemorate the last thing, and my inner child kind of loaded it with I scraped the dust, from the bottom, just because, well, I'm stopping for 5.5 miles. I didn't even smoke that much before, but,
Yeah.
um, and I got to tell you, I felt like shit. I felt like shit all
Yeah.
morning today. And I was like, oh my God, just a reminder of those days,
Mhm.
is good to have every once in a while. And there's something about waking up the day after that resolution, knowing that you've made that decision, you just don't think about it anymore. And
Mhm.
once you get to that point, it becomes so easy. So I just want to remind that it's a process. It's like peeling an onion, and slow and steady. So tell me about your first week. How did it feel to do the ritual? How did it feel the day after? And I know you
Okay.
had from email that you had some physical issues
I
that
did.
came and were kind of caused that first week to be a little tricky. But tell
Right.
me more.
Okay. So I did the ritual that evening because I'm typically an evening smoker, because it's more of a time to relax after I've gotten everything done for the day. And oftentimes it's because I deal with physical ailments and pain in my body. And it's one way it helps me just to let my muscles relax and release and just kind of feel good. Right. So I think I did smoke right after the podcast on last Sunday because it was still my last day.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a lot of left, and I had planned it that way. What I had switched to using the oil, the cartridges, the vaporizing cartridges versus over flour. I've kind of dabbled in all of it, but that was kind of what I've been doing recently. And so I had a few cartridges left with just a tiny bit in there. They're pretty much ready to throw out anyway. But I gathered all of my cartridges, and I had some sublinguals and edibles also that I had given to my mother earlier that morning. I said, just take them, hang on to them or whatever. Just don't give them to me. I just didn't feel right throwing them away. But so she has that, and I kept the cartridges because I knew I would use them at the end of the day. It's always been like the last thing I do that before bed. I take a few hits because it helps me fall asleep. And sometimes even if I wake up in the middle of the night, I would hit it again and it would help me go back to sleep. So anyhow, I gathered all of my remaining cartridges and went downstairs. My husband and my son were asleep. I usually am the last one awake, and planned my ritual. And I had everything written out, what I was going to say. But before I took a few hits. It was an indica strain. Took about 3 hits off of the cartridge and started feeling it. And was getting set up. I tried to make it like a ritual, like light a candle or do something different, to kind of, have that feeling about it. And I had my notes out. I had my candle going. I watched the last video for the day. And then I started reading I said my word, I did my word. I read everything out. I had my little candle lit, and and so I'm reading the thing, and I'm high during this time, of course. But I read it. I still remember everything from the experience. I read it, and then I had this feeling like intuitively, to make it, to bind it. I poured hot wax over it. I figured, okay, that's gonna seal it. And then I signed it. I poured hot wax over it, and then I signed it. And I was like, all right. And then I felt good about it. And then I realized, I'm like, shit, I was still gonna hit some before the end of the night. I didn't finish. I was gonna go out with a bang and finish the rest of those cartridges. And I'm like, I can't. I just said the words. I can't do it. And it was literally like, I was like, it's still today, and I meant to start tomorrow. But I'm like, no, I said those words, and I said from this point forward. I didn't say starting tomorrow. And so I kind of panicked a little because I was, the indicas makes you a little paranoid. So I started gathering all of my stuff, and I put it in a bag, and I stuffed it to the bottom of the trash. And it's like, okay, I'm done. That's it. I'm not going to do it then, and I didn't. I threw it all away, and went to bed, fell asleep good because I had my indica. And the next morning, I was in a bad mood. I was really tense. I was irritated. I was clenching my teeth, like, just because well, for one, I guess I'll share with the listeners. Hopefully it's not too much information. I've already been getting personal with this stuff, but for one, it was I was PMS'd. Okay. Let's just I'll just be blunt about it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of contributing to my mood, for one. And to also point out, because I usually can pinpoint to the day when this is all going to start for me in my cycle, and it should have happened the 5 days before the break. I had planned it that way.
You planned it, yeah.
I planned it, yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a good date because I know it'll just be past that. I'll be feeling good, and and I've never wanted to stop during my cycle because I suffer from endometriosis. It's a painful condition for those who don't know about it. And cannabis has always been very helpful for me to get through that, for all of the various symptoms and pains that come up along the way. So I've always thought to myself, there's no way I could stop during this time. This is like the hardest time of the month for me. And why would I want to do that? I'd rather get a head start when I'm feeling good. But for whatever reason, out of nowhere, it decides to wait 5 days and is delayed. And
I think it's because you said that you couldn't do it during your period. And so the universe would say, let's see. Said the word.
I believe it was the universe testing me. And even more so because this a program I'm doing, I told you about with the neuroplasticity and all of that. It talks about how the universe tests you when you decide you want something, or you're trying to manifest something. Then the universe will come and say, okay, well, it'll dangle it in front of you. Are you sure? Are you sure that's what you want? Are you gonna choose this? Are you gonna settle for the same old shit that you always settle for, or are you gonna make a new choice? And that's what I realized. I said, okay, this is a test. It's testing me because this is the hardest time. And, am I going to break, or am I going to stay strong? And I stayed strong. It was hard though. Oh gosh, am I trying to not get emotional all of a sudden?
Why? Get emotional. It's okay. Just release it. The emotions are there for a reason. They want to come out.
I know. Well, yeah, it was hard because it was really painful. And, I kind of suffered through it. And today is actually the first day I feel better. So it's been all week long, since Monday until, today, this morning. It's finally subsided. I had a few challenging days. Friday was the worst for me. Pain wise, and my family saw it. I was stuck on my couch with my heating pad. I couldn't really walk. I couldn't do any of the things on my list, that would help take my mind off of it, because it required, physical movement. And so all I could do was call someone. So I called my mom and talked to her a few times, and she helped me get through that. And it was rough. And I just knew, and even my mom and my husband could tell too, that to see how much that cannabis really was helping me during those times. But I wanted to stay strong because, I think part of getting over this condition, I know there's things that I can do to help the condition, but it's hard to do when I'm smoking cannabis. So it's, again, that double-edged sword. Anyhow, so I made it through. I did have to, take Advil pretty much the whole time, every 6 hours on the dot, and that, helped somewhat, but I couldn't do a lot for that time. So it was, I couldn't even work at some points, which is challenging. Anyhow, that was a rough week. I wasn't planning for it to be that rough. I thought it would be easier because the way I thought I had timed it right. But like I said, I think it was a test and I passed. So I'm gonna, going forward, it should be easier for me. So if I can make it through that week without it, then I could definitely make it going forward. And I will be seeing my doctor on Monday to see if, whatever I can do to make things easier on myself, for the months to come. But it was rough. And last night, I couldn't sleep. I laid there for about 4 hours, literally 4 hours, trying to fall asleep. Yeah, I tried the podcasts and the stories and all that. And I bought a sleep machine, makes sounds, trying to set things up for me to sleep. I bought an air purifier, all that, put it in my room, but I couldn't sleep. And I finally fell asleep after about 4 hours. And then I had that sleep paralysis happen. And and then my husband woke me up because I can't get out of it, but he knows, because I guess I make certain sounds where I can't even speak. I'm like, like mumbling, and he knows, okay, when she's making that sound, she can't get up. So he woke me up, and I was just like, shit, I just fell asleep, and after 4 hours, and then that happened. But I got back to sleep, had crazy dreams and stuff. I've been dreaming a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Those dreams do come back. But yeah, so that's why I probably look tired right now, because it was a rough night, but I got through it. And I just hope the sleep paralysis doesn't continue, because that's one of the things that is also, not only does it help me sleep, but it prevents the sleep paralysis. And I don't know why, but that was another reason why I really preferred to smoke at night as well. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I want to say a few things. So first of all, you're a brave soldier, and I want you to know that the tougher the journey, the more power you're infusing into your word. If I remember correctly, the word that you chose was I wholeheartedly swear. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what you've done this week is you've infused so much power into it. A second after you said it, you remember that you actually wanted to take another hit and you forgot, but you sealed it with wax. And there are no accidents. Your subconscious, the mindness, as I call it in my lectures and in my book, kind of guided you to do that. And so, it's just like that joint I smoked yesterday. Did I really need it? I didn't. I kind of like all day today, I felt like shit. And I wished I haven't smoked it. And in fact, 2 minutes before I did, my girlfriend said, are you sure you want it? Because tomorrow you're going to say that you wish you wouldn't have had it. And I said, oh, well, I'm not going to be smoking for 5.5 months, like, come on.
Right.
Like, well, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what you want. Like, think bigger. She knows me, let me do what I want. But you've done it. And so right there, you felt that power of the word, and you realized that place that I'm trying to instill with people that I work with this program, that there's power to the word. And you knew that if you're going to break it, it's going to dissolve. From that moment, it's no longer going to have that kind of power. Right. And the fact that all week, even though that you've really truly struggled, you haven't done it, it has infused power into the word, and it's just becoming stronger and stronger. So I applaud you for that. In terms of the physical pain and everything that you're going through, you've committed to 12 weeks, right? To 3 months.
Right.
So there's going to be at least two more, if you're unlucky, 4. Because it started a week later. I'm sorry, if you're unlucky, 3 more times in which you're going to have your period. So you have a little bit of time to plan for next time.
Well, and the pain's not just during the cycle; it's also mid-cycle as well. The way that endometriosis works. So I really get 2 good weeks out of the month and 2 not so good weeks, and one of those not so good weeks is a really bad week.
Yeah, and I read a little bit about this condition, and it sounds like there's no known cure.
No, there's no cure.
But I'm a true believer in that everything has a cure, everything. And, it's just a matter of saying, no, I will find something, and looking for it. We can talk about fasting, but that's a whole different topic. There's a process of fasting that it's kind of intense. It's a little out there, but wow, it just cures so much. But that's neither here nor there. So let's focus on the cannabis. In terms of the sleeping, I'm the kind of guy, the second I stop smoking cannabis, I sleep really well. And in fact, when I smoke cannabis, I don't sleep well. And I've noticed that it's literally half and half. Some people are like that. Some people are the opposite. And so I'm not the kind of person who should probably recommend something to you from that perspective, because I haven't experienced it. but I can recommend some stuff based on what I heard that other people are doing. And I can recommend some stuff based on my experience with the topic of sleep and dreaming.
Okay.
Before you go to sleep, first of all, let's talk about sleep hygiene. We spoke about that before, right? Like getting prepped for sleep at least 2 hours before, no electric devices, type of stuff like that. Did we?
In the program you talk about it. We hadn't specifically, you and I, but you did mention it in the program. I think that was like day 12. I think. Yeah,
it really makes a difference. And grabbing a book. I know you've tried the podcasts. Some people, the vibration of the electronic device still impacts them. And so sometimes I feel like the podcasts don't help, like especially if the topic engages you. Try Alan Watts, just because he's such a, he speaks so slowly and his voice has some kind of like a soothing mechanism to it. A lot of people say that my podcasts are making them fall asleep, which is, I guess, is a compliment.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a podcast called Kabbalistic Mystic that I talk about spirituality that, is a good making you fall asleep type of thing. But a book really helps. And then the last thing I wanted to say is about the sleep paralysis. I want you to try something. And it'll be a fascinating thing to try and do. Before you go to sleep, there's two techniques. One is just verbally, the other one is physical. You write it on a piece of paper and put it under your pillow. But you literally ask your Myness, subconscious, whatever you want to call her. In my lecture, I call her Myness because it's the feminine mind. We create our perception of reality with two minds, not one. And that's the most common mistake for people. They think they have only one mind, but they don't. They have two minds. And the feminine mind, she's passive. She responds to what you ask her to do. And you have to be very specific. She also lives by habit. And so she's used to having cannabis in the picture. And she doesn't always know when you're serious or not serious. When the emotion is really strong and you're serious, she knows. So she knows now that you're not smoking cannabis. And you can literally tell her, say, listen, I want you to help me sleep. And I do not want to have sleep paralysis anymore. I know you're trying to tell me something with that sleep paralysis. And find a different way to tell it to me. Tell it to me via dreams. But don't tell it to me this way. It's not resonating with me, this type of lesson, this type of teachings that you're trying to pass to me. And I get that it's a metaphor. I get that there's a place in my life where I'm frozen because it's a metaphor. You're telling me about something that is happening in my life. You're telling me there's something I want to do. My mind is active, but my body is not. And you're telling me that I need to also connect the body to the willing mind, the mind that is awake. I get it. And because I get it, I ask you to stop doing it. And what I promise to you is that I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to write, or I'm going to, do the work to understand what it is that I need to do. And I ask you that you give me the information in my dreams. Now that I don't smoke cannabis for a while, I want you to tell me that. And I feel like, I've seen it work. I'm telling you this out of experience, not out of experience of me not sleeping well, but out of experience of me asking my Myness, sochla in Hebrew, for things. And every time, again and again, it works. If you write it with the emotion, with the same level of intensity and dedication and focus that you wrote your cannabis letter, we'll meet next week and then we'll see if I was right. But that's what I recommend with the sleep paralysis, because it's a message. She does it. Who controls it? Remember, Don, the physical, everything physical is a reflection of the metaphysical, not the other way around. I don't care what and who in academia is going to tell you differently. They look for the solutions in the mind, but they forget that the mind is plastic. Everything that happens in the mind is a response to what happens in our consciousness, in our quantum state. And in our quantum state, the physical representation hasn't happened yet. And so you can change it. You can change it. I don't care what condition you have. Most people are addicted to their physical conditions because their physical conditions have defined them through time. I had asthma and allergies when I was a kid, such severe asthma, such severe allergies. I got extra attention because of them, all kind of things. Who am I without my asthma and allergies? And I've healed so many. And always the first process was to allow it, to let it go. And I can tell you that there were crazy things that I had. I was so allergic to dust from coniferous trees. Trees with needles. I don't know how you call them.
Like pine trees.
Pine trees, cedar trees, eucalyptus. And every time I would do woodworking with one of these trees, my skin would swell, just like I got burnt. And it was horrible. And cedar was the worst. And after I did a lot of work of self-help, and I remember one day looking at myself in the mirror, and for the first time, I liked what I saw. Until that day, I thought I was ugly. And I thought I was, I just didn't like myself. And that day I looked in the mirror. It was like 3 intense years of self-help, self-work, of loving myself. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, I like how I look, like not in a, oh, look at me. I'm like, Mr. Brad Pitt here. But like, I liked and here's the funny thing. The second you like how you look, you actually look good. Because it has to do with it, it. And so in that moment, there was an involuntary knowing that came to me, okay? In my imagination, call it whatever you want, but I just knew from that moment, I was no longer allergic to cedar or to any other needle type tree. So I told that to my wife at the time, and I went downstairs to my shop. It was when I still lived in the US. I had a big wood shop. And I went downstairs and I cut some cedar tree and I rubbed it. And she was like, no, what are you doing? I said, look. And I waited my 24 hours because usually it takes a day to flare up.
Yeah.
And nothing. And since then, I can work with coniferous trees and all. Now, check this out. Here's the punchline. Cedar in Hebrew is Erez. It's my name. I was allergic to myself. I was allergic to myself. Yeah. And it was like, it just clicked, right? Self-help, self-love, boom, the allergy. Every physical condition that you experience is a manifestation, some kind of a metaphor that your subconscious, that your mindness is trying to tell you something. And only when she knows you got it, she's going to let it go. So give it a shot, humor me, and we'll see what happens with the sleep paralysis.
Yeah, I will. I'll definitely.
Okay.
I'll try that out.
I want to say one more thing about your condition. Again, I do believe that everything can be healed, but in the meanwhile, it gives us, start a list of the various times, whether it's in the month, in the year, that your inner child, that the place in you that does want the healing that cannabis can give, wants it. For example, maybe, just maybe, I'm planting ideas because at some point in this process, we're going to start talking about, especially in the last month, we're going to start building your relationship to cannabis. And I want to just park this thing now in somewhere that when we talk about when you can actually smoke cannabis, when you'll allow yourself to smoke, part of this process, we create some kind of an agreement with ourselves for the future. Maybe, just maybe, during that time of month is your time to smoke cannabis. It's some kind of a built-in thing. It's just like me. I have this, now for 5.5 months, he'll have to suffer, but I have a friend who comes here every Wednesday and we spend time, we study, I teach him, what I teach, and we really have fun together. And because I know it's a fixed thing, it was easier for me to build my, when am I smoking, when am I not smoking around it? Because remember, the mindness, it works out of habit. The second she knows that, for example, with him, every Wednesday I would smoke. And, she knows, then Wednesday comes, my desire evokes, right? And so she kind of knows. And then on other days, she just doesn't bother me with it because she creates the desire, right? Difference between will and desire. We spoke about it many times. The same thing here. Maybe in that time of month is your time to enjoy cannabis, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, something to park and something to talk about later, but I just wanted to name it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be a plan.
Could be a plan.
But my goal though is to overcome the condition altogether. But
even better.
Maybe in the process, perhaps.
Yeah, even better. That's even better. That's even better plan. But I just wanted to name it also for people who are listening to kind of start sensing those places, those needles in the map that are fixed points in your schedule and in terms of the relationship to cannabis. And yes, absolutely. So, okay. So we got through the first week and I so wish that the second week will be easier. And I really hope so. And I believe that it can. Were there any good things this week that you want to name? I mean, it sounds like it was a week from hell.
Well, when the moments that I did feel good, I did painting. I did 2 large paintings I did one on Monday evening. I was feeling okay enough to do Monday. I spent about 5 hours straight painted in a big painting, and that kept me for me. I was trying to not go upstairs to my bedroom after work because that was the routine. Go and get my pen and do a little hit, and I call it a pen. I don't know if other people do, but that was kind of the routine. And so for me this week, I avoided going upstairs just because it was a little bit of a trigger for me, unless I had to go upstairs. But so after on Monday, after I was done working, I just got all my paint stuff out and just started painting for 5 hours straight and finally finished the painting.
Wow.
Then I wasn't able to paint. I could show it to you if you want to see it.
I
but
would love to
I know
see it.
The listeners can't see it, but this is the one. I'm not that stoked with this one because it didn't turn out the way I had hoped. Let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, the stupid background.
Yeah, the background.
I'll have to turn the background off. Yeah. That's messing the whole thing up. Anyhow, I'll send you a picture or something because you can see my work that has come out of this. But I did another painting last night. 6 hours I spent last night painting, and I'm gonna finish it today. So I've been painting a painting a day for the last month, except this last week when I had that rough patch. There was about 3 or 4 days where I couldn't even paint. I couldn't sit at my table to paint. It was just too uncomfortable. Wow. So I had to put it off for a little bit, but I had the urge to paint because I'm really passionate about it. And I just kept looking at my supplies thinking I'll get to it soon. So last night I was able to get some work done, and I'll do some more today. But that's a passion of mine.
Now you're saying you've been painting for about a month, a painting a day. So that means you've done it even before you stopped smoking cannabis.
Yes.
Are there any differences that you sense this week in the way, like any positive things that you want to mention? Maybe not, in terms of not smoking cannabis. Anything that you actually liked?
No, actually, it was the paint during there was when I would paint before the break. I wouldn't paint, altered every single time, but there'd be times where my back would start hurting, my neck would start hurting, and I need to take a break. So I go take a puff, and it relaxes that, and I can finish the painting. But this time I couldn't do that, and so instead I also practice yoga. I used to teach yoga as well, so I have all of the equipment and all the props and stuff. So instead I got my yoga mat out, I did a few stretches, and then I have these wooden blocks that I lay over, and I could open up my chest, open up my heart area to kind of fix that area in my back. And then I did some neck traction, and then that that helped, not for a long period, but it helped me get through the rest of my painting. And then heating pad, that kind of stuff works for me as well. But yeah, I have other issues with joint pain and stuff that's not even related to my the endometriosis. So it's a challenge, but I'll get through it. I have tools to do. I've always known that cannabis is just it's so convenient, it's so quick, and it's so effective when it comes to helping with certain, ailments like that. So, that's why it's been a constant for me, because it really helps me get through my day sometimes when things flare up. But I need to find other ways, and overcome these ailments, so I don't, I don't have them, and I don't want to suffer through them anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we had a rough start. I want to say to the listeners who are contemplating doing consciously high, that the vast majority of people who are doing it actually experiencing a lot of ease the first week. I'm so sorry, Don, to say that to your face, but it's true. And some people don't. In your particular case, it sounds like it was a matter of timing. And so all I can do is just wish you and, send these blessings your way, that this second week, you're going to feel that place of like, that place of, okay, here I am, I'm clear, and feel that joy of clarity. I call it the art of loving. In Hebrew it sounds better, amanut ahavat hatzlilut, the art of loving clarity, right? The love of clarity, the art of love of clarity. I don't know how to translate that, but it's a good place. It's a good place. And so hopefully you'll feel it, and hopefully that you at least feel the strength that you exude that you've passed to all of us, to me, to other listeners. I have this. I know that I've been a little lazy. Not lazy. I've been actually really busy with that big lecture I had this last week on putting the podcast episode online. I'm actually going to do it tonight of last week's. I just couldn't get to it. Yeah, I just couldn't get to it. I just couldn't. I had this huge lecture on Thursday, and it was a big deal. It was like a big show. It's not quite a lecture. It's like an online event, and big deal. So I was exhausted by the time I was all done. But I'll do it today, and it's as if I smoked. I just lost my train of thought.
Because you smoked last night, right?
I guess, yeah. I still feel it.
It affects you that way. That's what happens to me. I like, what happened last night? Or, it takes me a while to recall the day before, even when I'm no longer high. Yeah. And I don't like that.
I don't like it either. And I have something actually to tell you about that. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. So, I was able to kind of make the sound thing. I haven't quite connected it with my video, because I'm actually recording myself video wise for the YouTube, but I have went through the sound, and I've actually captured just your letter. And what I've done is I've played it to people here in Israel, Hebrew speakers, who most people in Israel speak English, or at least understand it. And I've played it to them. It's a group of people with which I'm starting Consciously High in Hebrew tomorrow. There's about 13 people there, and people were so moved by what you've said. I mean, it's just like, boom, it opened everyone. And that's the thing with our speech. The second we speak, other people start speaking too. So I just want you to know it's something that you can't witness, because these people are Hebrew speakers. And so you won't understand anything they say, but I'll translate to you as the feedback comes along. I just want you to know that it's such an inspiration, right? And your journey has already inspired so many people, and will continue. Wait until I put that episode online tonight, right?
Yeah.
And
well, that's good to hear. I mean,
yeah.
I do want to say, just to back up, as far as the benefits or the good things this week, there is something to note. My sinuses and my lungs have been feeling really good, and that in itself is just that I like that feeling, because I when I wake up in the morning, I can breathe. I'm not all stuffed up. My eyes aren't red, and so that is something I was looking forward to. So I did have that little silver lining for the first week.
Yeah. How do you like the dreaming? You said you've been dreaming.
Dreaming's good, as long as they're good dreams. Yeah, it's nice to have the dreams back. I haven't really remembered them well enough to write them down, but I know I've been dreaming. And I also have a Fitbit tracker that tracks my sleep, so I can see, how if I've the deep sleep, the light sleep, the REM sleep as well, to see how my sleep's been through this process.
It sounds like you have a lot of technology around you when you sleep.
Yeah, I
Just
do.
saying. Just saying.
I know. Well, I did get rid of one of my old air purifiers because I found out it was emitting a lot of radiation. I got one of those EMF detectors to try to make sure I wouldn't, I checked all the devices in my house, and for whatever reason, that one was off the charts, stronger than my my microwave. And so I got rid of that. I bought a new one that's a better one. But yeah, I know the devices can also disrupt sleep. I'm aware of that.
It'll be interesting just once to get all technology out of the room. And I don't know if you have like shades that are like night shades that you can actually close to have like complete darkness. And
yes,
just to try to sleep in a different state. And you'll be shocked, I think, how much it makes a difference. I've discovered, for example, that when I don't close the door to my bedroom, there's something energetic, like some energetic flow that I just don't sleep well. And I haven't really realized that. And when I started closing the door and closing the shades, wow, I just sleep so much better. But anyway, the dreaming part, I don't know if you spoke about it, but I've done a lot of dream interpretation teaching over the years. It's actually one of my favorite things to teach. And if you want, especially in a time where you don't smoke after a while, because when we smoke, the vast majority of people, in fact, I can say I've interviewed hundreds of people who smoke cannabis, and not even one to date have told me that they dream and remember their dreams when they smoke. And the vast majority tell me that the second they stop smoking, dreams just boom, come back. Dreams are the method, the main system of communication with which the mindess, the feminine mind, the passive mind, the subconscious, the empress, we'll call her, is talking to us. Tell us it's all metaphor because she can only talk in metaphor, but she does it via the dreams. And in a time like this, she takes the opportunity. And so if you do put some kind of a notepad and a pen next to the bed and take the time to write the dream, we can actually work at it next time. If you have a dream that you're saying, oh my God, I have to write this dream, it felt important, then do it. It might be the dream related to what do you have to do in your life that's causing the paralysis? Why is she doing the paralysis, right? Because you're telling her, hey, give me the answer via the dream. I don't know, whatever. But if you are interested in doing some dream work, by all means, we can do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. And dream writing is an art. It's something that we learn to do over time, and we get better and better. But it's sort of like the breadcrumbs with Hansel and Gretel or whatever. The second you write the first one, the second one comes. Even if you wake up and you remember just one thing from the dream, usually, not always, but usually when you start writing it down, she's going to remind you the next thing and the next thing, and slowly the dream reveals itself. And I highly recommend doing it.
Yeah, I've heard that if you do that daily or every day, writing your dreams down or every detail that you could remember, the more you do that, then that's how you can learn how to have lucid dreams and have more control over your dreams. But it starts with writing them out first.
And even without getting to lucid dreams, because I found that some people just don't do lucid dreams, and some people are really good at it. I for one, I'm not good with lucid dreamings. I had a period where I really tried to do it for a while, and it didn't quite work out, right? Because it has to do with I call it my mental polarization, my conscious polarization based on everything I teach, just the way I am, right? You have to be really allow yourself to I'm also not one of these people who being hypnotized easily. I have a hard time letting go of the thinking mind, and it impacts my sleep. And so the whole idea about dream writing, dream documenting our dreams is even without lucid dreamings, the more we write our dreams, the more clear we get as to the message of the dreams, and the easier it becomes to remember them. And it's also one of these things that I highly recommend. And it's a huge advantage when we stop smoking weed that we dream again, because it's such an amazing tool, And it saddens me that, for so many times I haven't dreamt for so long, and I've missed communication, because I wanted to get that connection, that momentary connection that I get when I smoke. And I got a message, but then I either forgot it or whatever. And sometimes in the dream, the messages are so much better. And I wanted to say one more thing that that actually relates to your letter to cannabis from last episode. Something that I've noticed today, because your letter impacted me as well. Today I woke up in the morning, and as I said yesterday, I kind of, it's like, oh yeah, I stopped smoking. I do whatever I want the night before. And today my dad called me. And when I smoke a lot of cannabis, I don't want to speak to anyone. My dad is, is elderly. He's okay, but he's not doing that well. And I try to give him the attention. And he called, and I just didn't want to answer. I was like, whoa, I'll call him later. And then I forgot, because I forgot. And then he called again, and I didn't even notice. And eventually I spoke to him this evening. I kind of came back to myself after a while, and it was a wasted day too, work-wise. Like I haven't done half of the shit I wanted to do. And when I spoke to him, I realized that he was lonely today. He was lonely. My mom wasn't there, and he just had a really crappy day, and he needed me. And it broke my heart. It reminded me of what you said in your thank you letter about, the interactions with your son. And because I smoked last night, I wasn't there today for my father. And I can't take that back. I can't go back in time. And I can't change the fact that he needed me, and he called me, and I wasn't there. And that pained me. And it made me realize how good it is for me right now to have that clarity. I will finish that book. I'm telling you, Don, just like you are leaning on me as your accountability buddy for this, journey that you're doing. I'm just like volunteering you to just be there as a momentary witness. I'm telling you, I've stopped smoking cannabis for the next 5.5 months. So I can write that book, and I will write that book. And by the time you finish this program, the 11 weeks that you have left, I will be far advanced in the process, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any questions for me in terms of what comes next? You have 12 weeks. So all the information in the course in Consciously High, we're going to work at it together. We don't have to meet every week. We can meet every once in a while. We can meet again next week to see how it was and kind of continue going forward. But the process is basically, 4 steps. The prep, which you've done, getting to the point that we have that joy of clarity. You've started this process now. Starting to understand our relationship to cannabis from that place of clarity, and finding ways to kind of get the same benefits without it. That's the 3rd step. And then the 4th step is reintegration. Planning an agreement with yourself in terms of how you're going to introduce it to your life if you choose to. You don't have to. And the actual reintroducing. That for some people can be harder. And some people fall back into some kind of a pattern of abuse, but the vast majority, I mean, actually each and every one that I've spoke with have told me it's not like before. Like I'm a lot more aware now. And so it happens. I say that out of 1 out of 10 people that do the program kind of, just fall back into where they were. But there's this awareness of, wow, here I am again. Okay. And then, in fact, one of the people who's doing the course right now in the Facebook group is doing it for the second time. After the first time, she kind of like caved. She's done it in a time that she didn't really want to do it. She was like, no, I'll do it now, and it wasn't quite the right time. And then the inner child rebelled. And it's like, well, screw you. It's the holiday times. I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I want to smoke during the holiday, whatever. Right. And it happened. So you were smart. You said, no, I'm going to start after the holidays. And,
Right.
You got your share of difficulty. So, yeah. So my questions are, now that I've described the process, do you have any questions for me? And what can I do to help you continue this journey successfully?
Well, my first question I can think of is, since I have decided to do this for 3 months versus the 3 weeks, I haven't gotten to that last week of the program, but I'm going to guess that is to start to prepare you, to set you up for starting again. So should I still finish that week, finish those modules, or do I save it for when I get to the, after the 3 months? So yeah, I was a little unsure of how I should navigate that part of the process.
That's a great question. In fact, I need to develop some kind of a strategy around it and communicate it within the program to improve it. I feel like when we speak about smoking cannabis, like there's exercises in the 3rd and 4th week. How much did you listen to so far?
I'm on day 14. I'm not the type that peeks ahead. I like to just, do it each day by day. Okay. I follow the rules.
Okay. Yeah. I wish everyone would, but for some people they need different rules, and that's okay.
Right.
There's something about the 3rd and 4th week, especially the 4th week, that well, here's the deal. Well, I have to look for a second exactly what is happening in the 3rd week, because I think that I'm also introducing these things in the, let's see, let me just log in real quick. In the 3rd week, in the 2nd week, I talk about decoding cannabis, and I talk a little bit about the technicality, the metaphysical mechanism. I talk about memory, and I talk about all that kind of stuff. So that happened. You've already looked into that. But there's a process towards the end of the class in which I start talking about how to introduce cannabis into your life again. And I have a feeling here, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, 3rd week, the inner child, the inner adult. Yeah, I would say this. I would say that you should wait with the 3rd and 4th week.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. There's a process that I describe there to talk about the inner child in terms of what they want from cannabis. And there's a negotiation that takes place, especially in the 4th week. In the 3rd week, I'm looking at it, cannabis in social circles. Yeah. The 3rd week is fine. The 3rd week is fine. It's the 4th week that I recommend not doing. Right. So the 3rd week, whenever you're inspired and want a video, go to the 3rd week and, kind of do it. But the 4th week, don't do it yet. Here's why. When I ask you to do that list of demands from the inner child, to start negotiating how you're introducing cannabis into your life, it can invoke desire. And I think that you're in the stage of your journey that you're still vulnerable, that you still, you haven't went through the vast majority of the program. When we do a 3-week break and we've already done 2 weeks, we're not going to break it in the last week, right? Mm-hmm. We're already anticipating, in a week I can smoke. You've chosen 12 weeks. I say, let's not deal with it now. Let's deal with it in the last month, after you went through 2 months without smoking, which is breaking a record from last year, which was 6 weeks, and you're already feeling like $1 million because you've done it. You know that you're going to finish. That's when we're going to start talking about reintroducing. It just doesn't feel right to do it at this point. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And if you need more things to listen to, just let me know. I'll send some stuff your way, or,
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
want to, yeah. How else can I support you?
You've done a lot already. I think that just continuing as it's been, I think it's good. If we can follow up with the podcast, I think that's also keeps me motivated, knowing that I can kind of report back to my progress.
Okay.
That's helpful. I mean, like you said, it doesn't have to be every week, but maybe every other week or something until we get to that point. That would be good to do that.
Okay.
And then if you do get any other positive feedback from your listeners, that's always motivating as well. So I appreciate if you could share what you get. That'd be great.
Yeah. In fact, let me log in right now to the personal WhatsApp group with which I talk to everybody about tomorrow. Okay. No further feedback yet, but they just got it. So we'll see what they say tomorrow, and we'll see how you inspire them. Because what I've done, I gave them your message and I said, this is what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So prepare. What's your thank you to cannabis? So we're going to see how you inspire them. And I will send you these responses. And I'm also going to post it in the private Facebook group. So we're going to see what's happening there.
Okay.
In terms of meeting next week or not, let's wait and see how you're doing. Because if you have good things to report, I want to hit the iron while it's hot. And over the 12 weeks, we'll try to aim it so that it's every other week, but we'll kind of flow and see which weeks are the right weeks.
Yeah, that works for me.
And I'm here for you. You can always contact me. It sounds cliche, but I'll say it anyway, even though that people don't like to hear it. I am proud of you, not in the fatherly, like teacher kind of way, but in a human to human, and knowing the difficulty sometimes in doing what you're doing. From that sense, I'm proud and I'm inspired. Even though that I feel like I'm there. I'm inspired because your difficulties are not mine. And when I see somebody like you, I can say actually that it sounds to me like you're the one who struggled the most from all the people that have done the program thus far and told me. You had the most gruesome week. And there were a lot of people, there were not a lot, but there were some people who had pretty nasty, experience. And I think all of them caved, and you haven't. And so there's no bravery when there's no fear. There's no strength where there's no temptation. And you had a lot of freaking temptation, Don, and you did it. And that would serve you well going forward. That would serve you well. And I salute you. So.
Thank you. I'm proud of myself too. And that's not something that I usually say. I feel like I survived, a huge challenge and made it through.
Yeah, you do. I see you. The listeners don't. You do look lighter, and your face look more. What's the word should I put? Do you know that yoga clarity energy that we have? Like you have more light coming from your face. I can't quite put words to it, but it looks, you look clearer. Your energy is clearer. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I do feel clearer. But I mean, I'm tired because last night was rough, but I think it's just more that feeling of accomplishment, perhaps. Maybe that's what's showing through.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good for you. And we'll keep talking. Keep me posted. If you need me, you have my email, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Of course. It's my pleasure. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you are interested in redefining your relationship to cannabis, check out weedoutthehabit.com. And you know, it's something that you can do alone as well. You don't really need to do the program if you feel like this is not for you. Just grab the principles from what I'm saying. But if you do need structure, and if you want to be led through the process, that could be a great tool for you. I thank you, Don, for sharing your process and for your brave and just passion around this topic, and your dedication and willingness to get to what you want. And I thank everyone who's been listening, and we'll see you next time. Smoke responsibly.
Misery loves company, the company that I will keep. There's nothing of the loneliness that you're speaking in. If you want to come with me, baby, take me by the hand, 'cause I still can't believe